Pam Bondi was Florida's Attorney General when the Miami Herald exposed the hundreds of Epstein's victims. She was the state attorney general when lawyers for the victims began taking Epstein to civil court in Florida. She was Florida's attorney general right when all of this was being exposed. So don't you think if Donald Trump had in any way been linked to Jeffrey Epstein, she would have prosecuted him? I mean, she's a lawyer. She's an officer of the court. 8 years as Florida Attorney General. She swore an oath on the Bible. You don't get to that position turning a blind eye to sexual predators. There's no way she would have turned a blind eye. Here she is running for re-election as Florida's Attorney General.
Florida ranks third nationally in calls for help for human trafficking, where young women and children are enslaved and abused. I knew we needed all hands on deck. Businesses and hospitals to spot it, our great law enforcement to stop it, and tougher penalties to punish it. We're taking on Medicaid fraud, pill mills, gangs, and more, and I'll fight to put human trafficking monsters where they belong, behind bars.
Pam Bondi, our Attorney General.
She cleared Donald Trump. That should be enough. You would think, right? That would be enough. But that's not good enough for California House Democrat Ted Lieu, who sits on the House Oversight Committee. He accused Pam Bondi last week of committing perjury when she claimed there was nothing in the Epstein files implicating Donald Trump. He said she was committing perjury when she said under oath that there's no evidence, no documents even suggesting Donald Trump needed to be investigated. Watch how disrespectful my hero, Congressman Ted Lieu, is towards Pam Bondi. How dare Ted Lieu, who may be the best member of Congress, how dare he talk to Pam Bondi this way?
Former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I'm going to claim my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please stop the clock.
Stop the clock. The legislation. This is
time.
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
Congressman Ted Lieu, the best. He's the best congressman. He's been on my show. Mark Savasco, his chief of staff, used to come on the show all the time. The great Congressman Ted Lieu. Over the weekend, Congressman Ted Lieu took to Twitter and reminded Pam Bondi more evidence that Attorney General Pam Bondi lied under oath. She stated in judiciary hearing, there's no... Wait a second. Was it the House over? Oh, was the House over? No, it was the Judiciary Committee. Hang on for 1 second. Okay, the House Oversight Committee is subpoenaing Les Wexner, but Pam Bondi testified before the House Judiciary Committee. All right, we begin again. Ted Lieu writes, more evidence that Attorney General Pam Bondi lied under oath. She stated in judiciary hearing, quote, there's no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Epstein documents in this article show the FBI interviewed a victim who credibly accused Trump of sexual assault. Bondi must resign. Well, what article is he referring to? Congressman Lieu was referring to an investigative piece written by Roger Sollenberger. It appeared over the weekend on his Substack, and he was able to pull files from the Epstein dump showing, yes, Bondi lied under oath when she claimed there were no accusations ever leveled against Donald Trump and that he had been completely cleared. Sollenberger writes that in the Justice Department's database of Epstein documents, records show that the FBI spoke to an Epstein victim who said she was also assaulted by Donald Trump. Sollenberger writes the files show the FBI agents who interviewed this woman called her, quote, a credible witness. Sollenberger writes that the FBI file said, quote, the witness stated Epstein introduced her to Trump, who subsequently, I'm going to clean this up a little, forced her head down to his exposed you-know-what, which she then bit. And then in response, the witness said Trump punched her in the head and kicked her out. That victim would have been, quote, approximately anywhere between the age of 13 and 15 when this occurred. The alleged assault took place in the early mid-1980s, and Sollenberger writes the same woman also claims to be an Epstein victim, and one of the reasons the FBI considered her a credible witness is she was able to sue the Epstein estate in 2021 and win.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime. Former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene said over the weekend, I know a lot of people have a hard time with that, but it's the truth. Trump fought the hardest to stop these files from being released. She is no longer a member of Congress, thanks in no small part to pushing for passage of the Epstein Transparency Act, which resulted in so many death threats, she gave up her seat. When she called Trump to complain about the death threats, all he could tell her was, you brought it on yourself. Wow. Telling a victim, you brought it all on yourself. Well, say what you will about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I have. She was out front pushing for passage of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and she's paid a price. I'm not a fan of her. I think she's a dangerous idiot, but she stepped up. Kentucky House Republican Thomas Massie, who co-authored the Epstein Transparency Act with Ro Khanna, is accusing Bondi of covering up for Trump and leaving at least 2/3 of the Epstein files unreleased. To give you an idea of what led Marjorie Taylor Greene to resign, this is a tweet out over the weekend by Thomas Massie. I am not suicidal. I eat healthy food. The brakes on my car and truck are in good shape. I practice good trigger discipline and never point a gun at anyone, including myself. There are no deep pools of water on my farm, and I'm a pretty good swimmer. You think he might be getting the Trump treatment? Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene appearing on Jillian Michaels' podcast.
I read this morning that Dr. Oz invited Epstein to some Valentine's Day party he and his wife were having in 2016. This is Dr. Oz that's currently serving in the Trump administration over
Oz.
Medicare. Exactly.
Please continue, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
But that was after Epstein had been convicted of pedophilia.
Well, he wasn't convicted of pedophilia, Marjorie. He was convicted of soliciting an underage prostitute. He got that sweetheart deal where Acosta, the federal prosecutor down there, listened to Alan Dershowitz and Ken Starr, Epstein's lawyers, and they didn't prosecute, and they worked out some sweetheart deal where Epstein pled guilty to accidentally soliciting an underage prostitute. And he did a little more over a year in prison, but he only slept in the prison. He got to work from his home. But that's okay. Please continue.
How do these people, and that's the hardest part, these are people that we may love, people that we have cheered for, people that I know I supported. And it's both sides of the aisle. Everybody has got to come to the horrible, nasty truth in our faces that they have all come together, and it was about making money, it was about influence, it was about power, and it is being part of the ruling world elites that have affected all of our lives. And if we as a country cannot swallow that down and hold our government accountable, Jillian, it's beyond. I think it's gone already, but it is past gone.
It was past gone when you got elected to Congress, and now it's really gone when you start making sense. When Marjorie Taylor Greene, we go, we're done. Well, the Epstein story, way worse for Trump and the Republicans than I ever thought it could be. All I ever wanted was for the Epstein files to do just enough damage so Trump couldn't even imagine a third term. I never expected the victims to get any justice. I didn't. This thing is out of control in a good way.